Welcome back, everybody. My name is Dante Dimatteo. I'm a pharmacist with the Joe Dimatteo group, and actually recently just finished the Precision 1 nutrition certification. So I'm just feeling that much more equipped to take on your health and fitness and nutrition related questions. So with that said, wanted to take the time to do that in this video. So really a major surprise to all of you, I'm sure, that I'm back again to talk more fitness and more things of that nature, but what are you going to do? That's my thing. So first question, should I be taking creatine? Basically, my answer is why not? There is such a short list of those who would be considered non-candidates to taking it. It's been studied for so long. It has a multitude of benefits, and again, there's just such a limited profile of side effects that it's at least worth considering. One thing I would like to note before moving forward, creatine does have the potential to raise serum creatinine from baseline, which is reflective of kidney function. So in those who are just kind of average healthy adults, it's probably not the end of the world to see those sort of transient changes, but somebody who has chronic kidney disease, you want to pay a little more attention to that, something you definitely want to discuss with your doctor. As a brief overview, we know that creatine is most commonly found in red meats and seafoods. It's obviously found in nutritional supplements, commonly as pre-workouts or post-workouts. But with that, I should mention we do carry a creatine supplement. It's a buffered form. It's a great product, but I think in the future, we're looking to maybe switch that to a monohydrate form, but stay tuned. We'll see what happens with that. And then most importantly, it's typically stored at the level of the skeletal muscle as phosphocreatine, and you'll see why that's important here in a second. So where does creatine kind of fit in this whole exercise puzzle? We got to break things down at the cellular level just to kind of give us context into how our energy systems work in the context of exercise. So as exercise demands increase, or that bout of exercise increases or gets more intense, our demand for ATP goes up, and it's harder to essentially keep up with those demands, and that's where you'll see performance drop-offs, or that's where you'll see the sprint go into a jog, into a walk, essentially, is how that's kind of happening on a practical level. But if we look at where this ATP is coming from, we know that it is generated from a molecule of ADP and also a phosphate molecule. And so the building up and the breaking down of the ATP into those constituent parts is sort of where this energy is coming from. So as I mentioned, creatine is stored as phosphocreatine. So that's kind of where that phosphate is coming from. So the more creatine theoretically we have stored at the level of the muscle as phosphocreatine, the more available that phosphate is to come bind with the ADP and then be broken apart again. So that's why it makes sense to exogenously, either via foods or a supplement, that's why it makes sense to then supplement with creatine. That's sort of the big take-home point there. We could obviously break it down into a very complicated subject, looking at molecular biology and those things, but just generally, I think that that's a solid framework for basic understanding. So next, we'll look at dosing. In the literature, it's most commonly broken down as weight-based dosing, but that's not super practical when selling this as a combination product, let's say for pre-workout. So most commonly, you'll see this as recommended anywhere from 5 to 10 grams every day, and that's on training days and non-training days. Also, it's pretty common to see manufacturers in literature recommend a loading dose, where you would essentially split up 20, 25 grams in four doses over the course of a day, and then maybe take that for 3 or 4 days to kind of like really drive up that steady state concentration that's actually needed for you to see physiologic and practical results in your exercise. So if you want to try something like that, you can safely load it. There's the potential for some more GI upset and those sort of things when increasing your dose like that, but my recommendation would probably be just to start with the 5 to 10 gram a day dosing. That's sufficient, but it might take you 3 or 4 weeks to reach that steady state for you to really see the results in your training. You may have heard people say that I gained a bunch of water weight from creatine, or I heard somebody tell me I'll gain weight from taking creatine and I don't want to gain weight. There's merit to that. The research shows that there's the potential to gain anywhere from maybe 2 to 4 pounds. However, it's hard to say 100% if that's definitely coming from water. So with that said, you may have gained 2 to 4 pounds of lean muscle mass. So you kind of got to look at things on the flip side. That could be a good thing for you if you're a novice trainee looking to increase some muscle mass, or if you're just somebody continuing to try to see benefits from resistance training. The thing about creatine that goes along with that is that it is an osmolytic molecule in nature, meaning it draws water into the cell. And so as that sort of happens, once you reach that steady state or saturated level of creatine in skeletal muscle, that's when that manifests practically as, oh, maybe I gained a little bit of water weight. So not the end of the world, but definitely worth noting. With that said, not every single person is a responder to creatine. I think it's somewhere in this 2/3 to 60% of people see some sort of results. So with that said, can't guarantee that this is going to take your bench press from 200 to 500, but it can definitely leave lasting results, whether you focus on aerobic training, high intensity training, you ride your bike, or again, you're trying to increase the bench press, or you're trying to get stronger with some resistance training. So if we look at what the International Society of Sports Nutrition says, which is in a large overarching body looking specifically at sports nutrition, verbatim, they said that creatine is the most effective ergogenic nutritional supplement currently available to athletes with the intent of increasing high-intensity exercise capacity and lean body mass during training. So there you go. I mean, it's a pretty substantial review. I would encourage you to maybe read that review if you want to learn a little bit more. But essentially, I trust what they have to say about it. It's very safe. It's very well tolerated. It generally works for a high percentage of the population. And the big thing you might be asking yourself now is, well, I'm not an athlete and I'm not doing high intensity resistance training, so why in the heck would I care about creatine? Well, the line gets blurred quickly. While you may not be an athlete competing anymore, your sporting days are over, and you're just a general health enthusiast, it still has the potential to work. If you are lifting weights, participating in resistance training, or participating in aerobic training in any capacity, there's a chance that you can sort of see these benefits that we talked about. So the key is we got to keep up with that demand of ATP or our energy source. Creatine just allows you to do that and ultimately can increase your workout capacity. And if we increase our workout capacity, we can see those benefits of increased retention of skeletal muscle mass. We see better results in our workouts, and the cumulative effect of all those things is just, more bang for your buck with your exercise. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this video, we would appreciate it very much if you would subscribe and hit the bell below. Thanks.